Hello and good afternoon and welcome to this class. And I can already see Reena and Zara. Anusha has also joined in. Good afternoon. How's everyone? Anju, good afternoon. How are you? And most probably we'll finish this chapter today. So tomorrow we are going to have a quiz. And I hope you have read this chapter carefully through your NCRTs also. And if there is any kind of doubt, we'll clear those doubts also. Okay. So, are you ready with your doubts? That's good, Anju. That's good. And are you also solving questions based on the chapters that we are completing here? Zara has a question, is partial pressure of O2 more in expired air than in alveolar air? No. But what happens is the air which is exhaled, it takes some of the alveolar air. So if you're thinking about the alveolar air, which is having like 104 of partial pressure of oxygen, and from the blood it is coming only to 40. So you think it is going to be 104 as compared to the alveolar air. So no. Okay, so I guess students will join in slowly. So it is the combined one that they are talking about. We'll take that up, the combined one, because the atmospheric air has 158 or 159, the alveolar air has 104, and when you exhale, it combines with that 104, and that is why the partial pressure comes to be a little more. I'll come to that point, okay? Okay, so let us start the class and let us go over the basic things. And all of you now know me and the platform that we are using, but let us talk about this. That is the app. I don't know how many of you have installed this app or not. This app from your app store, you can simply install it, because there are many benefits when you are taking classes on the app, because after the class, the complete PPTs which we make, they are available to you in the form of PDF. So that helps when you're making the notes, but that is available only on the app, so you need to install that. And this is the subscription that we talk of. And as I told you that after Diwali, we will be starting with some plus module. It could be complete recap of biology in 2 months or 3 months, or it could be sub-units. So there will be live classes. You will have the unlimited access to the other classes also. So the physics class, chemistry, and all those will also be available to you. There will be live tests and quizzes conducted, and I will be giving you a complete schedule. So it is going to be a structured course. Similarly, there is one newly introduced one, that is Iconic. And this Iconic has some added features, like you have an access to the expert or the teacher. So it is a personalized coach or tutor kind of a thing. There will be test analysis also, plus all the benefits of plus anyways are there. And now if you talk about the subscription plan, this also I've shared with you many a times. almost in every class. And this is just to give you some idea about that. If you go for a monthly subscription, the amount is 6,300, but if you multiply this 6,300 with 12, this is not the amount that you're getting, because here you are getting anyways some discount. So it is always better to go for a long-term subscription plan and use this code. This is my name, my code. So if you use it while taking the subscription plan, you will be eligible for the 10% discount. This is for the Plus and for Iconic also, the same thing. Here also 6-month subscription, and then if you go for 12-month, the amount is not getting doubled, because here you are getting discount and this 10% after putting in this code. Okay, now let us come to the doubts. Yeah, good afternoon Hiren, how are you? Let us take the confusion which Zara had, that if the alveolar air has partial pressure of oxygen as 104 and the atmospheric air has PO2 158, 159. So when we exhale, it contains carbon dioxide, but because this and this, it mixes, the air which comes out has partial pressure of oxygen slightly more than this, because whenever the air or the gases they mix, the partial pressure gets affected. Okay, one more question from Zara. During expiration, does internal intercostal muscles relax or contract? You're talking about the normal exhalation, right? Only the normal. If you're talking about normal exhalation, then all the muscles, because the muscles which are involved are two, that is phrenic and external intercostal, and both are relaxed. Internal intercostal muscles, they are involved only in forceful exhalation. So if you're talking of forceful exhalation, then internal intercostal muscles contract. That means during normal exhalation, these muscles are also relaxed. Okay, clear? Yes, Hiren, did you revise everything? Is there any doubt? Now clear? That's very good. Okay, any other question? Any other doubt on this entire chapter? Because today what we will be talking about are the disorders related with the respiratory system. We will talk about some diseases, allergies, asthma, then occupational disorders, all those things. So Anusha, Anju, Reena, Hiren, is there any other doubt? What is the endothelium of capillaries? It is just a simple squamous epithelium. So if you just cut the capillary, you would find that there are only flat cells which are arranged in a single layer. So it is basically a simple squamous epithelium, and that simple squamous epithelium of capillaries is known as endothelium. So it is just the name given to that epithelium, and it is so thin that exchange of substances can take place across this membrane. It is just the name endothelium given to it, but it is simple squamous epithelium, single layered cells, flat cells. These are the thinnest epithelia. The same type of epithelium is present in alveoli, but there we don't call it endothelium. So if you're talking about an alveolus, here also this same type of epithelium, and here also there is respiratory gaseous exchange. Anything else? No other doubt? That's great. Herein, you every time when you massage, there is a flower at the end of that sentence. Okay? So now, first time there was a bouquet kind of a thing, next time there is a single flower, and again a single flower. So do you know the names of these flowers? Like the last one which you have sent, which says no other doubt, and there is a flower. So do you know which one is this? Reena Anju also said that there is no doubt. It is sunflower. Okay, I want to know the scientific name. It is sunflower. But do we have, or do you know the scientific name of that? See, this is how you can study morphology easily. So we keep using biology every now and then, but whenever we are talking about that thing, also think that can it be a part of our syllabus? It is Helianthus anus. That is sunflower. Okay, so this is just one way of keeping biology with us all the time. All right, let us start with the things that we were planning to do, and that is disorders related to respiratory system. And we have categorized these disorders into various categories. The first one is on the basis of infection. And infections can be due to bacteria, they can be due to viruses. So if there is any bacterium, any virus causing an infection in the respiratory disorders, then those will be called infectious respiratory disorders. And we are starting with the first one, that is TB or tuberculosis. Okay? And whenever we talk about the diseases, we need to know the causative agent. What is meant by a causative agent? The pathogen or the microbe which is actually causing this disease. And this is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And because it is a scientific name, we need to underline it. So this is the causative agent. That means it is a bacterial disease. Okay, we can write it here. So bacterial disease, tuberculosis, commonly known as TB. And we know it affects our respiratory system, but the organ which is mainly affected, organ that is mainly affected are lungs. So though it is complete respiratory system, but it is the bacteria mainly affects the lungs. Now, are you aware this about this Mycobacterium tuberculosis? It was discovered by Robert Koch. Discovered by Robert Koch, this particular bacterium. Now, when we talk about how does this infection spread, then there is a technical term that is called epidemiology. Epidemiology means the mode of spread. That means how does a particular infection spread, whether it is through droplets, like when you sneeze or cough, that time the droplets which come out, so then that will be called droplet infection. It can be through contaminated food and water, so that means it is spreading through that. So epidemiology is a technical term which is used whenever we are talking about how does it spread, and it spreads through those droplets. So it is droplet infection. And that is why if a person has TB or otherwise also, we normally say that you should cover your mouth and nose when you cough or sneeze. So it is a droplet infection. Now what are the symptoms? Symptoms means the signs. Whenever there is a disease, there are some kind of signs, and every disease has some unique symptoms. Like, I'll give you an example, though it is not relevant here. Many times we have fever. Now, is it fever due to viral infection? Is it viral fever? Is it malaria? Or is it fever due to some kind of an infection that is in your stomach or somewhere else? These are different. Like, if we have infection in our stomachs, many times it happens like somebody is suffering from diarrhea or dysentery, then what happens is the fever is a low grade fever. It's like 9900. Then if it is viral fever, then it is going to be high fever and all throughout the day and night. So it's going to be like continuously, the body temperature is going to be higher. So if the fever is persistent, high fever, normally the interpretation is that this is some viral fever. In malaria, the fever occurs at regular intervals. Every morning there is going to be fever, or every evening there is going to be fever, and it is always with chill. So you feel very, very, very cold, then there is high body temperature, and then it subsides with sweating. So every disease has some unique symptoms. So what are the symptoms of TB? There is persistent coughing. We all get cough and cold, but this cough or the coughing that we get is like, 1 week, 4 or 5 days, at the most 10 days, and it recovers. But here it is like for months. So that is why it is said that if you have a persistent cough for more than 2-3 weeks, you should consult the doctor and find out whether it is the symptom of tuberculosis or not. And when you're coughing continuously, then it results into chest pain. When we are coughing continuously, then the mucus which is in this trachea and bronchi, that also is thrown out. And if it is continuously happening, the blood vessels which are here, they get damaged. So there is blood in the sputum. Sputum is that saliva which comes out whenever we cough. These are the symptoms which are like early symptoms. Then there is going to be weight loss. Now normally the weight loss is due to dieting. So if you're on a diet, if you're not taking like too much of carbohydrates, fats, then your weight is going to reduce. Or if you're doing some kind of exercises. Here there is unexplained weight loss. There is no reason. If somebody says, okay, you have lost weight, then you have a justification to give that, okay, I'm on diet and I'm exercising. But if you're eating normal, you're not doing any kind of exercise and still there is weight loss, then this could be one reason. So it is called unexplained weight loss. Sunken eyes. The eyes appear as if the eyeballs have sunken into the sockets. So these are the symptoms which are going to appear little later. Now, how do we diagnose it? Diagnosis is like, how do you find out whether the disease or the symptoms are of a particular disease? So for diagnosis, there is a test which is done, and this test is to detect a toxin which is called tuberculin in the saliva or sputum. So the sputum of the patient is collected and the test is to detect whether this toxin is present or not, and it is the toxin which is secreted or produced by the bacterium. The test is called, the spelling is slightly different and the pronunciation is totally different. It is called Montaux test, and the spelling is M-A-N-T-O-U-X, but the way we say it is Montaux test. Are vaccines only for viruses? See, vaccine is for, we will talk about the tuberculosis vaccine also, so that will give you your answer. Okay? So you have diagnosed it, you know the symptoms. Now let us talk about the vaccine as you're talking about this. Is there a vaccine for it? There is a vaccine for or against TB also, and it is called BCG vaccine. I'm sure you have heard of it. BCG, did you do you know about BCG? Or have you heard of this vaccine which is called BCG vaccine? For viral diseases, against viruses also there are vaccine, like we have for polio. So polio is caused due to virus, so we have vaccine against this. And here we are talking about a bacterial disease, and here also we have talked about the vaccine. So this is called Bacillus calmette-guerin. Bacillus calmette-guerin, that is BCG, and this is against TB. So there are vaccines against viral diseases also, and there are vaccines against bacterial diseases also. And BCG is one of the first few vaccines which are given to us after our birth. So a newborn, when the vaccination starts, this is one of the first few vaccines which must be given as soon as the babies are born. Okay, let us talk about the treatment now. For most of the bacterial diseases, the treatment is antibiotics. Okay, how many of you know what are antibiotics? Can you give me some idea of the information that you have about antibiotics? What are these antibiotics? And we are using them as drugs to treat bacterial diseases. They are very effective against the bacterial diseases. I'll give you an idea what an antibiotic is. Suppose this is a medium. Yes, it is against bacteria. You're right, Reena, but what exactly are these substances? Suppose this is a type of bacterium which is growing here. We are using a color code. Suppose this is a blue colored bacterium and which is growing in a medium here. Now the medium is providing all the nutrition. So everything is available for this bacterium. This medium has nutrition. Now if only one type of bacterium grows here, the entire space, the complete nutrition is available only to this blue type of bacterium. But because it is the nutritive medium, some other bacteria can also come and grow here. So now suppose there is this red bacterium also which is coming here. So don't you think there is a competition? So now these two type of bacteria will have to share the space, they will have to share the food, so there is going to be competition. So the bacteria, they produce some substance, a chemical, which kills the other bacteria. So this chemical is anti, that is against life, so it is called antibiotic. Suppose this red bacterium is a TB causing bacterium. So can we not use this chemical which is produced by the blue bacteria to kill the TB bacteria which are in the lungs or in the respiratory tract of a patient? And this is that antibiotic which we use for treatment. हिंदी भी यूज करो, ओके? क्या हिंदी में समझना है आपको? इसमें इतने पूरे पार्ट में which part is not clear, जो आपको हिंदी में बताना है? क्या समझ में नहीं आया? BCG फुल फॉर्म बैक्सिलस कैलमेटिक यूरिन ही रहेगा, एंटीबायोटिक ही रहेगा. What is that thing which is not clear? So उसको हम हिंदी में डिस्कस कर लेंगे. Yes, Zara, yes, you're right. And कैलमेटिक यूरिन जो है, that is साइंटिस्ट का नाम. Hiren, you have changed from the flowers to the leaves now. It is still the plant. आ रहा है समझ में? That's good. तो अगर कोई चीज क्लियर नहीं है, so you can specify कि ये चीज समझ में नहीं आई है. So what we can do is उसको थोड़ा सा हिंदी के बीच में words डाल देंगे, but the terminology अभी भी इंग्लिश ही रहेगी. So tuberculosis is the disease. जो causative agent है वो एक बैक्टीरियम है, माइकोबैक्टीरियम tuberculosis. Epidemiology एक टर्म है टेक्निकल which is used कि स्प्रेड कैसे हो रही है वो डिजीज, इन्फेक्शन स्प्रेड कैसे होता है, ड्रॉपलेट से हो रहा है. सो व्हेन यू स्नीज, आप छींकते हैं, खांसते हैं तो सलाइवा के ड्रॉप्स आते हैं, उसके थ्रू दिस इन्फेक्शन स्प्रेड्स. क्या सिम्टम्स हैं? परसिस्टेंट कॉफिंग है, खांसी आती रहेगी 2-3-4 हफ्ते तक, एंड कंटिन्यूसली जब हम कफ होता है तो चेस्ट पेन होने लगता है. जो स्प्यूटम जो सलाइवा बाहर आता है या जो कफ बाहर आता है उसमें ब्लड भी आ सकता है. वेट लॉस है, संकन आईज है, आंखें अंदर धसी हुई होती हैं. एक टेस्ट होता है टू फाइंड आउट वेदर अ पर्सन हैज टीबी. टेस्ट का नाम है मॉन्टाउ टेस्ट. स्पेलिंग अलग है, MANTOUX है, बट बोलते इसे मॉन्टाउ है. और टेस्ट में एक टॉक्सिन डिटेक्ट करते हैं सलाइवा के अंदर. ठीक है, इसके अगेंस्ट वैक्सीन भी है. एंड ट्रीटमेंट एंटीबायोटिक्स है। तो यहाँ पर हम एंटीबायोटिक्स के बारे में बात कर रहे थे कि एंटीबायोटिक्स क्या होते हैं और उन्हें हम यूज करते हैं टू ट्रीट बैक्टीरियल डिजीजेस। ठीक है, अभी क्लियर हो गया? कोई और कंफ्यूजन है? This is a special hand-picked leaf of Acer saccharum. Very good. I'm impressed. That's very correct. Any comment on partial immunity gained against COVID through BCG? See, COVID is actually caused due to viral or a virus. And BCG vaccination is against bacterium. But if you have sort of inhaled the COVID virus, then the coronavirus, then your body what is a vaccine basically? Vaccines can be two things. One, a killed pathogen or a weakened pathogen or the protein of that pathogen. So when that protein enters, now it can be on the body of the virus or cell of the virus or bacteria, or you can extract that protein and introduce it into our body. So when it goes in, our body prepares antibodies. This vaccine which is given is either killed pathogen or weak pathogen, weakened pathogen, so that the symptoms are not too drastic. So either weakened pathogen is given or that protein which can stimulate antibody formation, that can be given. Now what is happening in case of corona or COVID is we have started using masks, we are using sanitizers, so very small dose of virus is entering into our body. It is nothing but a very small dose. So probably our bodies have already made the antibodies. Okay? So, okay, one more information which I have written here. World TB Day is observed on March 24th. ठीक है, ये वाला क्लियर हुआ पार्ट? इसमें कोई कंफ्यूजन? You're welcome, Joseph. I hope the explanation helped. Okay, और कोई डाउट है इस पार्ट में TB related? National TB Control Program, that is we are talking of our country, it started in 1962. So जो nation है, government है, वो इस तरह के programs run करते हैं, जैसे pulse polio program भी आपने सुना है. So this is to eradicate a particular disease from the country. So ऐसे programs होते हैं, then they are on the national agenda कि वो सबको उसके लिए treatment मिलना चाहिए. Why does the chest pain? See, what is happening is continuous coughing. जब हम cough करते हैं तो हमारी जो chest में muscles हैं, intercostal muscles हैं, abdominal muscles हैं, ये jerky contractions करते हैं. और जब jerky contractions होंगे तो chest pain तो होगा, muscular pain तो होगा, और these muscles they are in the chest region, इसलिए वो chest pain होता है. Clear? So is the TB part disease clear? And इसका थोड़ा सा extension आप human health and diseases वाले part में भी पढ़ेंगे, where you will be talking about MDRTB. मल्टीपल ड्रग रेजिस्टेंट टीबी, ये थोड़ा सा और एक्सटेंशन है जो हम ह्यूमन हेल्थ एंड डिजीजेस में पढ़ते हैं, जहां हमें बैक्टीरियल डिजीजेस फिर से पढ़ना है, ठीक है। You could not follow my Hindi. Why? Was it difficult? Reena, I guess in that Hindi, the Hindi words were like few, maximum things were English only. Okay, let us come to the next disease, that is diphtheria. Okay, now again the same things. Joseph, Joseph is saying that thanks for this comprehensive information, feels like we are in a medical college lecture. I'm sure very soon you will be there, and I hope that all of those who are attending this class, they end up in medical college lectures. And what is resistant to medicines? Even resistant to medicines. Okay, MDR you're talking about, Hiren? Yes. MDRTB is something where, you know, your body, the bacteria which are there, they do not respond to drugs, and that is why it is called drugs, in the sense the medicines. So that TB, it is an extension of the regular TB, and that is called MDRTB. Okay, same points which we discussed in TB, diphtheria. Again, it is an infectious disease, and the structure or the system which gets affected is our respiratory system. So the causative agent is Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Corynebacterium diphtheriae. That means this is also a bacterial disease. So TB, diphtheria, these are bacterial diseases, okay, caused by bacteria. Now, if you're talking about the infection, see, TB can happen to anybody, but diphtheria is one disease which normally affects younger children more. So this disease affects younger children. That is normally age group 5 years approximately. This is the age group which is more prone to this infection. It is airborne and by droplet infection. So the droplets come into the air, and if you inhale those droplets, then the infection reaches your body. Now there are types of diphtheria depending upon which part of the respiratory system is affected. If it is pharyngeal part, then you call it pharyngeal diphtheria. It can be closer to the larynx part, then it is known as laryngeal diphtheria. So we don't have to go in that much of detail, but if you're talking about just the symptoms, depending upon which part is affected, the symptoms will also will be different. So there is inflammation of mucous membrane. Now this mucous membrane can be of nasal tract, it can be of the pharyngeal region, it can be of the respiratory tract, that is trachea, bronchi, or those areas. and this inflammation may cause blockages also in the respiratory tract. So respiratory tract may get blocked, and because the respiratory tract is getting blocked, it can result in choking and even death. We have seen the branchial intercom. Trachea, bronchi, these are wider tubes. But as you go into deeper tubes, if this is a narrow tube and if there is inflammation, inflammation means the membrane shows swelling and burning sensation, and if it swells and this passage gets blocked, then the air is not going to reach up to the alveoli, and that may result into death. Just like in case of anaphylactic shock. See, in anaphylactic shock, inflammation can take place in the respiratory tract or on the body also. But yes, this is the similar situation, what happens in anaphylactic shock. Okay, is there a vaccine against this? It is called DPT. The vaccine is DPT. Vaishnavi is saying late. You are late. Yes, why are you late, Vaishnavi? What happened? This vaccine, which is called DPT, is given against 3 diseases: diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus. We will be talking about the next one. Oh, you had internet issue. Okay, no problem. The part which you have missed, you can watch the recorded video and finish that part, okay? So this vaccine is given against 3 diseases, and that is why it is called a triple antigen. You know what is an antigen? We have just now talked about antibiotics. We also talked about antibody. The terms that we have talked of are antibiotics. We also have talked of antibodies, and now we are talking about antigen. So what is an antigen? Antigen is antibody generating substance. Anything which can generate antibodies in your body, that substance is called an antigen. Good afternoon, Amisha. Antibody generating is antigen. Perfect. To which? Yeah, against which? Yes, Anju, you are also right. What is an antibody? The antibodies are immunoglobulins which are produced against an antigen, and antibiotics are secreted by bacteria to kill other bacteria. Okay, so here we are using 3 antigens, and when we take this, our body produces antibodies against this, this and this, and that is why we call it triple antigen. So there is a vaccine for this also available, and because this is a bacterial disease, the treatment is same, that is antibiotics. Antibiotics are very effective in the treatment of this. Now there is a test which is performed to detect whether a person or a child has diphtheria, and the test is called stick test. The name of the test is stick test. Okay, so this is our second disease that we have talked of. First one was tuberculosis, that is also a bacterial disease. Second is diphtheria, this is also a bacterial disease. Now let us talk about pertussis. It is commonly known as whooping cough. Pertussis is commonly known as whooping cough, and there is a vaccine against this also. So let us write down this vaccine here, which is DPT. So this P, which is against pertussis or whooping cough. So the triple antigen has the antigen which is going to stimulate antibody production in our body against diphtheria causing microbe, pertussis causing microbe, and tetanus causing microbe. Okay? Causative agent. Causative agent is Bordetella pertussis. Do vaccines have side effects like medicine? Not really. Vaccines, whenever we take a vaccine, there is normally mild fever. But that mild fever is actually a good sign. And this indicates that your body has taken that foreign particle and is responding to it. So as such, there is no side effect for the vaccine. But if the and because you know these vaccines which are available, which are like certified, these vaccines have been tested properly for no side effects. But if the vaccine is not properly tested and it is still in the process of being manufactured or formed, then yes, there can be side effects, and if there are side effects, then that vaccine is not approved. I guess Joseph is talking about this COVID thing. There are vaccines which are in the process, and there were reports that some vaccine will be ready, and when those vaccines were given to people, there were side effects, and that is why those vaccines were withdrawn, and again testing has to be done. So unless and until it is completely certified that it is not going to result into any kind of side effect, then only those vaccines are made available to the general public. Earlier people used to get sick for getting immunity, as in case of smallpox. See, times have changed, medical science has evolved like anything. So nowadays our safety is the most important thing, and this you would realize when we talk about biotech. In biotechnology, we are trying to remove the slightest possible chance of us getting any kind of side effect, and this is because of the advancement in medical science. You know, if earlier also or nowadays also, I have seen it happening that if somebody has measles, there are two schools of thoughts. In one place, if a person has measles, the person is totally isolated. Nobody is allowed to go closer to them, till the person recovers. Because there is a chance that the infection is going to spread. But there are places where if one child or one person has measles, the neighbors, they send their kids there. If one child has measles, the neighbors would send कि जाओ खेल कर आओ उसके साथ में. so that these children, they also get infected. Because if you get infected second time, एक main है जिसको infection हुआ, वहां से जब होगा the intensity is going to be less intensity का हुआ मतलब less pathogen is going into your body and your body is going to make those antibodies, and एक बार antibody बन गई then it is going to stay with you lifelong, so sooner the better. So छोटे बच्चे अगर हैं and if they go and play with a child who has measles, उनको भी infection मिलेगा, और early age में, younger age में, you know, the fighting capability is good, तो उन सब के अंदर immunity develop हो जाएगी and later on they won't have the risk of getting that infection. So this is, you know, Joseph, herd immunity is slightly different. Herd immunity is like when it is spreading into the entire population and everybody has developed the antibodies. Okay? So that is what is called herd immunity. All right. Yes, these people are smart, so they know how to get ourselves protected. Okay, so we are talking about this pertussis caused by Bordetella pertussis. Bordetella pertussis. This is the causative agent. It also spreads through droplet, so spreads by droplet infection. That means if a person coughs or sneezes, then this infection is going to spread. And we have written the vaccine, that is DPT. It is also bacterial, so treatment is same, antibiotics. So be it diphtheria, pertussis or tetanus, the infection is due to a bacterium, and most of the respiratory disorders, if it is because of some infection, then it spreads mainly through droplets, because respiratory tract is affected, and when we sneeze, those droplets which come out, they have those infectious pathogens or the particles. Okay, so in most of the cases, Achyut is asking, is silicosis an occupational disorder? Yes, it is. We will come to occupational disorders in some time. Okay, the fourth disease is pneumonia, and I'm sure we all know about this, pneumonia. Joseph Vinod is saying it looks like wearing a mask helps prevent TB, diphtheria, pertussis, so it is a good practice to continue. This is right, but you know, if it is for a shorter period of time, then it is comfortable, but if you have to do it like 24/7, then it becomes difficult. It is like little uneasy for people, but yes, it saves you, so it protects you from all these things. Okay, what happens in pneumonia is there is inflammation of mucous membrane, and this mucous membrane can be of bronchi or other ducts also, normally bronchi. It also results in collection of lymph in the respiratory tract, and because of which there is more inflammation. Because of inflammation there is more of lymph accumulation, so this sort of increases, and this is also a bacterial disease. That is, Diplococcus is a bacterium, and that is why the treatment is again antibiotics. So most of the bacterial diseases, the treatment is with the help of antibiotics. Okay, so these are some common bacterial diseases. Now let us talk about flu, which is also known as influenza. Influenza, which is commonly known as flu. So what are the symptoms of flu? I'm sure you have heard of flu, and you know what exactly happens when a person gets flu. The most common symptom is fever, right? So fever is the most common thing, and it is caused by causative agent is myxovirus influenzae. Myxovirus influenzae. That means this is a viral disease. So before that, the 4 diseases that we talked of, they were all bacterial diseases, and influenza or flu is a viral disease, and it spreads very fast. It is also, or it can also be, a pandemic. Like we are talking about corona, COVID right now, flu once upon a time was also a pandemic. What was prevalent in India during World War I? Are you talking about flu or influenza? Which disease are you talking about herein? When am I going to start biomolecules? Very soon. It's like one by one we will take up the topics. See, normally it is said that viral replication is normally faster in colder climatic conditions, and that is why it spreads, and that is why when the weather changes, like now the winters are approaching, so people say that these viral infections are going to be more common. So viral multiplication is little more when it is slightly colder, and that is why people are also concerned about COVID, that it might sort of, you know, the cases might increase because of the same reason. But there are reports that this coronavirus is not affected by temperature, because earlier people said that as the summer approaches, the virus is going to, you know, the effect is going to subside, but nothing of that sort happened. But most of the viruses, their multiplication increases whenever the conditions are slightly colder. Okay, and the symptoms are fever, bronchitis, running nose, which is called rhinitis. Here also we have used itis, inflammation. So this is rhinitis. So these are the common symptoms of flu. Okay, so those were infectious diseases caused due to some kind of an infection, either bacterial or viral. Now we are talking about the obstructive respiratory disorders. That means there is no infection, but something happens because of which there is an obstruction in the respiratory tract. Okay, there are some questions like, I think we have answered all these. Zara is saying, is there any video downloading option on the app? I guess on the app all those videos are available as it is. You can watch them as recorded videos. I don't know whether this downloading option is there or not. Joseph is saying you feel confident when you know the science behind things. Yes, you do. And you know, when somebody tells you that you should wear mask, you know, if you just tell them do it, then some people just might not follow those instructions. But if you know the scientific reason behind it, it is easier to convince people do certain things. Okay, Hiren is saying, okay, Anusha said she was suffering from rhinitis. Amisha had rhinitis, okay. Is this a regular timing for my class? Till 13th of November, yes. After that, after Diwali, there is going to be a new schedule and I'll let you know the new timing. Ma'am, please tell your team our channel has no physics mentor. Okay, I'll pass on that message surely. Soumya. Alright, so now we are coming on respiratory disorders which are related with obstruction, and the first and the most important is allergy. This is caused due to anything, and that anything is called allergen. See, we wrote a word antigen. Anti is for antibody and gen is for generating. Allergen is allergy, gen for generating. Any substance that causes allergy is known as an allergen. What can be an allergen? There can be chemicals. Like some people are allergic to some kind of cosmetics. So the chemicals which are present in those cosmetics, maybe perfumes, maybe deos, anything, and they're allergic to it. Some people are allergic to dust. This is the most common thing. And some people are allergic to pollen grain. The allergy to pollen grain is called hay fever. It is allergy, but a name has been given to it. So there can be various kinds of allergens. Chemicals, food items. Some people are allergic to some food items. Like these days, people are talking about wheat, gluten, protein. So there are people who are allergic to gluten, and that is why there is a gluten-free food which is available to them. Okay, so you can have allergy to anything: food items, chemicals, dust, pollen grains. Okay, so now whenever there is an allergy, for any allergy to happen and the symptoms to be seen, there are actually 3 steps. So let us talk about these steps. Anju is asking, is there any vaccine to allergy? No. See, vaccine normally contains a protein. You can have that protein on the bacterium or virus, or you can take that protein out of it. What about dust? There is no protein. So our body makes antibodies against that protein. Okay, so can weather be considered an allergen? No, it's not a substance, it's a condition. So we will write down the steps. The first step is the nasal sprays for dust allergic people. Yes, there are nasal sprays and they have antihistaminic drugs in them. We will talk about that in a minute. First is sensitization. This is the first step. And as the name tells us, that it is the first time entry of that allergen into our body. Then the second stimulus or second stimulation, and the third one is histamine action. I'm sure you have heard of histamine, which is released from the mast cells against any kind of allergic reaction. Okay, so I'm sure you've talked about this. Sensitization is reaction, or I should write a mild reaction to the first encounter to an allergen. Now what happens is, when the allergen enters our body, it attaches to the mast cells. And these mast cells are said to be now sensitized. When the allergen enters for the first time, the reactions are small, of less intensity. Second stimulation, now here is a mast cell which is already sensitized by that allergen. And now if that allergen enters the second time or subsequent times, then immediately the mast cells rupture. As soon as mast cell rupture, histamine is released. And the allergic reaction that takes place is due to histamine. What happens due to histamine action? There is inflammation. Now this inflammation can be localized or diffused. Like if there is a mosquito bite, a mosquito injects, or honeybee sting, it injects an acid. So what happens is, in that particular area where the bee stings, there is redness, there is swelling, there is itching. This is a localized part. Diffused, it is in widespread area. Sometimes when you are allergic to some food items or some drugs for that matter, some people are allergic to some medicines also, and that is why when you have to take an injection, doctors ask you, are you allergic to something like penicillin? There are people who are allergic to it. So what is done is a drug test. They inject a little bit of drug into your skin. They check it for half an hour. If there is a red patch, then they find out that you're allergic. Otherwise, they'll give you the normal dosage. But in some cases, allergy to a drug, to some food items, can result in inflammation all over the body, not only on the outer side, even on the inner side. That is respiratory tract especially. And again, if there is inflammation in respiratory tract, it will result in heavy breathing, difficulty breathing, and it may even result in death. This is one. Second, why? Suppose this is the skin, and here there is some kind of, say, there is an insect bite. Some chemical was released by that insect, mast cell ruptured, and mast cell released histamine. Because of this, there is a bumpy area which is found on the skin. Now, why is this area swollen? Histamine, here is this histamine. Histamine causes more blood supply. It increases blood supply to that particular area. If blood is reaching here, then because it is the capillary which is bringing the blood, so some blood is going to, plasma is going to diffuse here. So there will be liquid accumulation. So if liquid accumulates, that surface becomes bumpy, there is a swelling. That part shows inflammation also. And because there is more and more blood, heat will be radiated. So there is going to be little warmth which is felt here. So this area will become little reddish. It is going to swell and it is going to be little warmer as compared to rest of the skin. This is all due to histamine. And when there is more and more blood coming here, WBCs will also be coming here and they will be able to remove that substance quickly. How do we treat allergy? We take antihistaminic drugs. So there are drugs which would reduce the effect of histamine, and that is how that inflammation can be controlled. Is histamine bronchoconstrictor? Okay, actually histamine results in release of other substances which can be vasodilator, vasoconstrictor, like serotonin. So constriction is not actually taking place, it is inflammation which is taking place. So if this is the bronchus or these are the bronchi, there will be inflammation, and inflammation would result into narrowing of the lumen, and that is why we feel that there is a difficulty in breathing. Okay, so is this part clear? And if this inflammation is diffused, large surface area inside and outside, then that can result into a death, and that is called anaphylactic shock. Normally, anaphylactic shock term is given when the chemical enters into your body for the first time and the reaction is so severe that it results into death. Like I'm sure you have heard of people being stung by bees. They were attacked by bees and 10-15 bees stung them. So everywhere the bee stung, there was this bumpy area, and then after 4, 5, 6 days they recovered. I don't know whether you've heard of this case or not, that one person was stung by one bee and the person died. Because normally the first encounter with that substance is a milder one, but if it varies from person to person. So if the first encounter itself was so severe that it resulted into a diffused kind of reaction all over the body, complete respiratory tract, then that can lead to this particular problem. Okay, the next obstructive disorder that we are talking about is asthma. Antihistaminic, turmeric. Yes, turmeric is good for so many things. It is antibacterial, anti-infectious, it is considered as anti-allergic, and that is why in household medicines turmeric is considered as a very, very good remedy. Earlier, it was believed that asthma is caused due to some kind of an infection, but now scientists believe that it is genetic. So genes are responsible for this. Earlier people thought that this was some kind of an allergy or some kind of an infection which takes place. And the most common symptom is bronchospasms. There are spasms in the bronchi. So if the tube undergoes spasm, what is meant by a spasm? Spasm basically means a painful contraction of the muscle. So if the muscles contract, the tube is going to be like this. Suppose here the contraction is taking place. Here it will again result into narrowing of the lumen. And if the tubes which are carrying the air become narrower, then you have to exert more to inhale. And that is why we say it is difficulty in breathing, heavy breathing. So those are the symptoms which take place in asthma. So especially it is bronchi which is affected. The bronchi, that is primary, secondary, tertiary, these bronchi are affected in asthma. Okay, now we are coming to the third condition, that is called bronchitis. This is inflammation of bronchi again. Inflammation of bronchi. Now, can you differentiate between asthma and bronchitis? See, what happens is, suppose this is our tube, any of the bronchus. If there is inflammation, that is bronchitis, then the inner membrane is going to show swelling. There is inflammation. Lumen gets narrow. There will be difficulty breathing. And if there is spasm in the muscle contracts and the tube gets narrow, again there is difficulty in breathing. So in both cases the lumen gets narrow and it is difficult to breathe in. Okay, so it is itis, that means there is going to be inflammation. Okay, emphysema. This is again a very important condition. It is due to cigarette smoking. What happens in emphysema is, suppose this is the alveolus, and alveolus is lined with this simple squamous epithelium, and we know that this epithelium also has the mucus. So here there is this mucus because oxygen is going to dissolve in this mucus and then only it will be absorbed. Now if a person smokes, that smoke which comes in, smoke has unburned carbon. So the smoke which comes in, the carbon, unburned carbon, it sort of sticks to the mucus. So here the mucus gets deposited with that carbon. And now tell me, what about this much area? Now this area is not available for exchange of gases. Area of alveoli not available for respiratory gaseous exchange. So slowly the surface area for gaseous exchange goes on becoming less and less. And obviously if less oxygen is absorbed, less will be supplied. And if less is supplied, then that condition is called hypoxia. So emphysema is reduced surface area for exchange of gases. Okay? Which is the next chapter you're going to start. We'll talk about that. But till 13th we will finish this, and we are going to have, we will finish this today and we have a quiz tomorrow. Okay? Next chapter I'll let you know as soon as this is done. Okay, the important thing that you have to write here is that it is due to smoking. It is, emphysema is specifically related with smoking, and normally we call it cigarette smoking, but it can be any other thing also which can result, any smoking like cigar smoking, bidi smoking, anything, but normally it is said that it is cigarette smoking. So here the surface area for exchange of gases is reduced due to deposition of this coal. And you know what is this deposit called? It is called tar. And when some foreign particle deposits here, it results in this tar deposition, results in inflammation of alveoli. So a person who smokes, the smoke goes into the alveoli, slowly and gradually that smoke, the carbon part will deposit in the mucus, less and less surface area will be available now, and because of this foreign particle there in the alveoli, there will be inflammation of alveoli also. Okay, now we are talking about the last part, that is occupational respiratory disorder. These are some common silicosis, asbestosis, and as we talked about this in the previous class also, this is due to the occupation. Now if a person is working in an area or in a factory where some particles are released, say for example asbestos powder or some silica powder, and it is so fine that it gets inhaled, it goes into the alveoli, it damages the alveoli, and then the symptoms are seen. Symptoms would be, it can be coughing, it can be blood in the sputum, it can be hypoxia, many things depending upon which substance is going in. But it is only affecting people who are into that job. So if you're working in a coal mine, then that fine coal dust will enter into your lungs. If you're not working there, you have no chance of getting affected by that coal powder. So cotton mills, there are people who are working in cotton ginning mills where the cotton which is harvested is like, you know, separated, fiber is separated, and those fibers are so fine that you inhale it. The people who work in such areas, such jobs, they have to use special types of masks. But as I said, it is not that easy to keep the mask on all the time. So in case if you remove that mask even for a few minutes, you're inhaling those particles. So such type of disorders are called occupational disorders, and ultimately what it results into is inflammation of alveoli, reduced surface area for exchange of gases, hypoxia, blood in sputum, and we are writing the general symptoms, which are: is living in house with asbestos roof unsafe? No. But when those asbestos sheets are made, that is the occupation that we are talking about. Because when asbestos sheets are made, that powder is actually compacted. So when that powder is being compacted, that powder is in the air. It's a very, very fine powder. Okay. So I guess these are all the disorders that we had to talk about. Occupational disorders, especially only to people who are working in that particular job. Okay. All right, so I guess this is the complete chapter, and we have talked about the diseases or disorders in little more detail, because anyways we have to study them when we talk of human health and diseases. So in this particular chapter, is there anything which is not clear? Anything that is not clear? Any confusion? We will be having a quiz on this chapter tomorrow, and the timing is going to be same. We will start at the same time. Thank you, Joseph. I'm so happy that you enjoyed the class. And is there any doubt? Zara, Reena, Anusha, Hiren say that there is absolutely no doubt. Thank you so much for the quality sessions. Okay, thank you, Kavi Priya, Anusha. Oh, you have taken the notes, 10 pages. But this chapter is like a smaller chapter. But still you filled 10 pages. See, this is the advantage of the live session, Joseph, because if during the session you come across some doubts, then those doubts can be cleared. And I feel that the doubt should be cleared as and when the doubt arises. If you do not keep that doubt with you for 4 or 5 days, you might forget, and after 4 or 5 days it has sort of no impact. Okay, Anusha has only written 4 pages. So maybe your handwriting is small, or you're using the space properly. And 10 pages of lecture notes completed, Anusha, and here you're writing 4 sheets. A4 sheets. Oh, 10 A4 sheets. Okay, got it. So I guess others have also written down the important points. Pay more emphasis on all the diagrams and the flow charts which we have made, okay, because those flow charts explain the complete process. And others also, did you write down things? Did you make those flow charts when I was doing that here? Anju is saying you have not seen a few lectures. Can you ask the doubts tomorrow before the quiz? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll keep 5-10 minutes for the doubts, and then we will start the quiz. Okay, so all of you prepare the chapter, come with the doubts. If at all there are any, we'll take the doubts first, and then we will start with the quiz. As I teach, you make the notes. Very good. So now when you read the notes, you can elaborate on those points, and the diagrams and the flow charts are the most important ones. Okay, all right, so the chapter is over and so is our class. And those who have not taken the subscription yet, this is a reminder for them that this is my code. Whenever you want to take the subscription, don't forget to put in this code so that you are eligible for this 10% discount. Okay, Anju also has made the complete notes. Okay, thank you, Hiren. Next chapter, Reena, I'll let you know tomorrow. Okay, so let me plan things and then I'll tell you the chapter also, and I'll tell you the days and dates when we will be starting that. All right, so I'll see you tomorrow, and as planned we will do the doubt solving session first and then we will take up the quiz. Okay, so bye and take care and revise the chapter completely. Okay, bye.